You comfortable, yeah?
I'm well comfy.
You look it.
Yeah. Best conversations are happened in
When you're lying
comfortability.
down like you're on a psychological
I'm going to
couch.
forget the camera's there.
I know this is counselling, isn't
might
it? Look,
as well.
I'm the counsellor because I look quite professional and you look like you just, very casual.
Help me out.
So this is my good friend Chells.
And this is my good friend Truly.
And we are When the
Kids Go to Bed. Shh. Okay. So single parent narrative.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about that recently.
Part of our series.
Yeah. And we are going to jump into dating as a single parent.
But why are we talking about this? What's the point?
Because obviously, remember what we said, the single parent narrative is a huge topic, okay? And basically, all these areas are going to affect you if you are a single parent. So I thought, let's step aside from the actual co-parenting relationship and the, mums and the dads. Let's step aside from that. And let's just focus on, if you are a single parent, how do you navigate the dating world?
And is this because you have quite recently got into a new relationship?
It's because I've been navigating the dating world for some
and neglecting
time.
me in the meantime.
Yes, for some time. And I have been through ups and downs and, a roller coaster journey. And it wasn't easy. Yeah, it wasn't easy. For those that don't know, I'm in a good place now. I always like to bring it up.
Look how happy you are.
I'm in a stable relationship. I'm just here to give single mums some hope, because in my journey through this dating stage, I have met loads of women who were like me and struggling to find the right person and stuff like that. So, I thought let's unpack that today, because if you think about it, dating before you're a single parent is quite exciting. I would say, it's quite.
Sorry, I don't know. Can't relate. Became a mother at 18. Don't know.
Right, there
Don't know
you
about
go.
that life.
Okay, well,
So
I didn't.
You speak from
I
your
didn't become a mum.
experience.
I didn't become a mum until I was 28. So dating before that, oh my god, it was so fun. It was so exciting. It was like, where is this gentleman gonna take me today? Dress up, get to wear a nice outfit. It was just really fun. And I felt like I was quite a good prize. I'll be honest. I was thinking, I look good, and I'm intelligent, and I've got a job.
As in, you got a lot to offer.
Yeah, I felt like I had a lot to offer. So going on dates I was quite confident about it all. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm saying when you do start to date as a single parent, you may not necessarily have all that excitement and confidence because you are now, as a single mum, you ask yourself, am I desirable? Because loads of people out there are saying that we're not. Yeah. Certain people on Instagram and stuff are trying to say, don't date a mum, don't date single mums and all. So if you hear that enough, you might say to yourself, am I desirable?
Yeah, jokes aside, we do get a lot of females writing into us, asking us questions and advice or just telling us their story, and I guess there's an expectation that we're going to reply and say, this is what it was for us, blah, blah, blah. And, one person in particular who recently wrote in, DM'd us, she is currently pregnant and is now, surrounded by her friends who are in relationships and marriages and about to have their kids in, 2.4 perfect families. And she's kind of feeling I'm in a kind of a shite situation now. And I think one of the questions was how am I going to move forward? How am I going to be dating and all that kind of stuff? And, it is a negative kind of, there is a negative weight put on you because you're I've got kids. I've never not been without children. So whenever I've dated, I've ended a relationship and I've started dating again, I've always got to tell, I've got 2 kids. I've got to tell them, I've got 2 kids.
Well, one of the things you think straight away is, when do I tell somebody that?
Yeah.
Do I lead with it? Or you think, well, I don't want it to be the first thing I say.
Yeah.
I personally have tried dating apps in the past, and there was a section on there where you could say if you have children.
Did you leave it blank? Or
No, I put
it?
because I'd rather, like, there may be some people who don't want to date a woman with children. Yeah, that's their prerogative. Yeah, I definitely want you to swipe. Don't come to me like I don't want to have this conversation. So but if you meet someone organically, then you don't know that. So you do always think, when shall I say?
Also, how are they going to receive
it? A lot of interactions that I have with new people, they tend to ask quite quickly. Men actually, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? Do you have any kids? Like,
it's like one of the intro questions.
It is one of the intro questions, before someone's even really got to know you. So it's like, why is it a question people ask so quickly?
I guess from a man's perspective, he wants to know if you're free and single, or if you have got commitments and can I fit into them? Do I want to be stepdaddy? Like, there's a lot. Like, for a man, I would say that, there's a lot of, like, all this, don't date single with mums and all this stuff. But if I'm advising my son, for example, who's now 16, who in the next 10 years or so may be in a situation where he wants to date a woman that's got children, what would I advise him? I would say, has she got her shit together? Is she healed from the past relationship? Have you met the children? What's the setup like? There's a lot of things that I would be asking to advise him and say, well, look, these are the things you need to think about. Are you going to be available? Are you going to be responsible? Do you think you can emotionally and mentally handle that? Because it's a massive responsibility. Whether you're, trying to be daddy or not, even if you're trying to keep it separate and it's still new, you still kind of want to make sure that you're a responsible man.
Also, there's some people out there, mostly men, who don't say they have any kids. No, I'm sorry, it's usually not women who pretend they don't have no children. But men, there are some men who don't tell you for ages that they don't have kids. And that I have a major problem with. Like, I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure how quickly you should say.
Yeah.
But definitely don't let us be speaking and then, because I just feel like you should know really if somebody has a child. Like, it's a natural, they're a huge part of someone's life. How do you, even in normal conversations, I will throw out, Alexis did this, or even if I say when I was at the shop, well, I was probably at the shop with Alexis. It's so when people neglect to say that they don't have a child, I'm like, I feel like you're literally hiding that. Because
is that because you're neglectful of the child as well?
Yeah, well,
or towards the child.
So some men can get around it because you're just out here, like, your child's not really there, so you're not really saying it. But yeah, so for women though, I think obviously stepping into the dating pool as a single parent now you have all these feelings of, like, and you might not have even dated for a long time. So if you were in a long-term relationship for, 5 years, 8 years, and now you're going to start dating, also maybe you never dated as a parent because maybe you didn't have any children before this relationship, and now you have children. So now you're actually dating as a single parent for the first time. I mean, I became a professional. Okay, right. Experienced. Okay, none of years. But in the beginning, for a new person, you're now, like I said, you've got to go back into the dating game, which can be hard for anyone who's come out of a long-term relationship. But now you've got to navigate that as a parent in the dating game. And obviously, do you feel body confident? Like, do you feel confident about yourself? Like, are you thinking I look great because, you was in a relationship for however long, like, you might not be at your best, and that's because you was comfortable with this person and he loved you for who you were, and now you're back into, it's the same thing, you're back at square one, and you have to put your best foot forward and give off the best impression. So to do that as a parent, I think can be quite...
And this is why I always say, and I said it in another episode, you just have to accept where you are so that you can now look after yourself. Because when you are at your healthiest, feeling your best, looking your best, doing things that you enjoy doing, like a hobby or something that you're good at, or starting a little side business or whatever it might be that fulfills you, you will go and then meet people with confidence.
Yeah, do not jump into the dating game if you are not ready. So don't do it for the wrong reasons. Don't do it because you're lonely and you don't want to be on your own. Don't do it because you're trying to get back at the person, because like you said, now to be honest, you're vulnerable. You are vulnerable. You are not confident, and you are a vulnerable person, and you are going to get
what do you mean by vulnerable?
Like you're going to get taken advantage of. I'll be honest, in this game, because I'll talk about this later, but one of the main things you need to do as a person, as a single parent dating, is have boundaries for yourself. Yeah.
Well, it's actually safeguarding yourself.
Exactly.
Because not only do you have to safeguard yourself now, you have to safeguard your home and your children.
Right.
So you can't just be letting any and anyone all up in your space.
Right. And we'll get to that when we talk, we'll get to that. But that's what I'm saying. So if you enter the game before you're ready, you won't be making any smart decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mindset is going to be slightly off.
If you're lonely, if you want attention, if you want you're not going to be making smart decisions, and therefore your guard will not be up and your boundaries won't be in place. So say like somebody just wants a bit of fun. They don't actually want to date to have a serious relationship because they know they're not ready, but they miss the companionship of the opposite sex, or they want to just go cinema with someone, and they don't want to go with their girlfriends. How would you say that someone can put boundaries in place? First of all, I will just want to say that is allowed.
That is allowed,
100%.
Okay?
As a single parent, I
raised it because it's allowed. It's allowed. You're still a human being. Who needs affection? I think some people
might think that if you're dating as a single parent, it's because you're looking for your husband. Not necessarily. Especially depends how old you are. Like if you are young, if you've had a child, but you are in your early 20s, you may not be looking for your next long-term relationship. So what Tamsin said is perfectly acceptable. So be honest with yourself. If that's what you want, there are still boundaries to be put in place. Like you can, especially if your child goes to their dad's, everybody says it, people say the mum who's free, the mum who ain't got her child that weekend is a dangerous woman. Okay? Because
and this is why half of these baby fathers, the controlling ones, they don't want you to not have your kids. Yes. Because they know you're going to be out there.
But there's nothing wrong with that. When you are not... Women say it all the time, like when they're not with their child, I'm not mum today.
I'm me now.
Somebody else is looking. My child is well looked after. Yeah. So today I am not mum. Yeah. So if you on that time, that's what I'm saying. That's all the boundary that needs to be a bit in place when you're not with your kids. That's all I'm saying. Don't mix it up. You cannot be sneaky links and all that kind of stuff when the kids are there and all that kind of stuff. If you don't want a serious relationship and you're not looking for your next partner, then when you are not with your kids, you are free to do whatever you want. It's not a problem. You can't bring it back into the house. You can't bring your children around it. So that's fine.
On the flip side then, because is there any other boundaries that's like screaming out? Because on the flip side,
I mean, well, just basic ones. You need to be safe. Like you need to look after yourself. Like you are a parent still. Like don't be putting yourself into any stupid situations because you are still a parent. And also don't be lying to yourself as well. Okay, because don't be saying that you don't want anything serious, but then you're lying. You're playing this game, and now you're emotionally getting hurt and stuff like that. Because that emotionally hurt person has to go back and take care of kids. So just don't mix up the two. Like if that's really what you want, and then there will be chapters in your life when that is what you want. You don't want nothing else. And like you said, you're a woman too. You have needs. You want affection. Maybe you want to get your confidence back. There's all that. So there's time for that. So just as long as you're being honest with yourself.
And there's ways to do it with sex, and there's ways to do that without sex as well.
Yeah, like go on dates.
Yeah, you can go on a date and not have sex not be the end result.
It's like learning to ride a bike again. Like you will need to go on a few dates. Yeah. Like if you ain't been on dates in however long, and you're not the most confident, you will need to get back out there. So that is not necessarily jumping into sex.
And that brings me to the flip point now. So if you only want, you just feel like, I've broken up. I'm not bringing no man around my kids. I don't want to date. I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to chat to no one. I'm a mum. Like, what do you think about that? People that say that.
I just think, realistically, how long are you going to do that for? Like, your kids will grow up one day and leave. And then you will be lonely and alone. Also, your kids don't want you to be alone. They want you to be happy.
Yeah.
Like, they also definitely want to leave you. They want to leave you and they want to be like, Mum's cool, Mum's chill. Because that is a bit like, I've known what that feeling is like. Like, you don't want to leave your parent and she's just in by herself, bored all the time. Like, when you were the one that was always around, because in your teenage years, you didn't go nowhere. So you were just always with mum. But now, you want to have your own friend, you want to be out. Your kids will be happy to know that you've actually got someone and you're taken care of.
I would argue that a woman with that mindset is probably not as far along in her healing as she might think.
Exactly. She's like
because
it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
You don't want to get her.
Cope. Yeah, you're trying to cope with maybe a heartbreak and accepting the single mumhood.
Scared you're going to be heartbroken,
and all
again.
of that. And then also exposing your children to dangerous things that we're talking about putting in boundaries for, which is fine. That's right. Like, it's not an outlandish thought, but it can be seen as a coping mechanism because life is about balance. And I think that's what you're getting at with you need to be happy as well. So I would say that it's all right to be in that space, but think long term. Yeah. That fine, if you know that I can't be around no one right now and I don't want no one in my space, that's where you are today. But it doesn't mean in 2 years' time that's where, like, don't be closed off,
and make sure you're doing it for the right reasons as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, if you're doing it because right now you haven't fully healed, so you think it's not the right time, or maybe your kids are a certain age and you think I need to focus on that. Whatever the reasons are, just make sure you know what the reasons are and you're not really not doing it out of fear, like I said, because that brings me on to a point where a lot of single mums don't want to date because they are worried about bringing somebody into their child's life or children's life, and then that doesn't work out. Yeah, and that I've experienced that, and that is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. I can imagine it is. And the thing is, I think there's a lot of pressure on women to get it right. To all of a sudden,
and if you fail, then you're a shite
dating goes from, like I said, being fun and exciting. You can go on different dates, whatever. You could be seeing a guy for 3 months, seeing a guy for 9 months. It doesn't work out. Never mind. Boo hoo hoo. Yeah. I think, like, the biggest decision you might make is, like, should you introduce him to your mum? Like, that's like the biggest. Do you know what I mean? That's the biggest decision. And even then, your mum's a grown ass woman. So even if you do introduce her to Paul,
and she don't like him,
or she's very happy with him, and then 6 months later, Paul's gone. Your mum's like, "Where's Paul?" You're like, "He's gone." And like, that's how you say it as well. You don't give your mum no story, because my mum would always say, "What happened?" And I'll be like, "I don't want to talk about it. He's gone. He's finished."
Yeah, it's done, mum.
She says, "You're a grown woman. You don't get no explanation. You don't get no."
Why you don't tell your mum the gossip?
No, but if I don't want to talk about it, sometimes I'll be like, "Don't ask me." Or sometimes I say to her, like, it was 3 months, like, it's nothing, whatever. Basically, you're not a child, You're not getting the whole, I have to explain to you what happened. I'm like, "Mum, he's gone." Later, it's like, you're a grown woman, deal with it. But I'm saying now, obviously, for mums, when you do the whole, I waited so long, I'm going to introduce, I thought it was the right one, it went well for however long, and then it doesn't work out. Obviously, the first thing you think about is the impact on the kids. Yeah. And I think that it can have a big impact. Yeah. It can have a big lasting impact. Yeah. On the flip side, should that mean that you don't ever take the chance then? Yeah. And you don't do it?
Well, it's a very dangerous thing to sit in isolation, to sit in your, just your home, just your kids, and just work and come home. Like, it is very it's a dangerous place, like, for your mental health, to stay isolated and never do anything for yourself,
and wait for the kids to grow up. Yeah. You could be thinking, I'll start dating when the kids are big and they don't need me. Yeah. Or they won't be emotionally affected by it.
I think a long time. It's a fine line between deciding to focus on your children, it could be building up my credit or sorting out my finances, whatever your weaknesses are, and you want to, all right, now you're not in that relationship anymore. You don't have that emotional or practical support that you once had, or maybe you've never had because you became single in your pregnancy, perhaps, whatever. But there should be an end point to, right, I'm going to focus on this. I want to achieve A, B, and C. Once I've achieved that, maybe then I'll feel ready to start dating or start looking for a relationship, because there is a difference between dating and relationships.
Oh, definitely.
A massive difference.
Yeah.
And how people choose to date and navigate that, whether they sleep with people or not, or if they date multiple people a week or date multiple people a day, like people date and do things in their own way. Like I'm not judging nobody.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, when you have children, especially when they're young, you do want to put your best foot forward as a mother, and you do want to have your house in order.
Yeah.
Because I've dated when my children were young and I didn't have my shit together.
Yeah.
And it can skew you off on your healing journey, and it can just delay you.
Set you back.
Yeah.
It'll set you back, won't it?
It can delay you.
I think if you date without any boundaries in place, I feel like it's reckless.
Yeah.
It's reckless.
But this is why I was glad that you said coping mechanism, because whether it be you're holding back from dating or relationships as a coping mechanism, or you're just out there to be out to distract yourself as a coping mechanism, both can be dangerous. Now, what I would say is important with all the experiences, mistakes I've made and the positive relationship that I'm in now, like I would say that finding your balance between what you need to do, what you got to do, handling your shit, and then what you want to do. And we work out with what your situation is, whether that be family support, brethren, friends, whoever can babysit, childcare, whatever you can do. Work out what can work for your life. Balance. What your friend does, who's a single mum, in her dating world, might not work for your life.
Yeah, because it's not going to be the same for all, because it could depend on how old your children are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got a 3-year-old or you got a 15-year-old, very different. Yeah. 15-year-old don't even want to hang out with you anyway. Okay?
Yeah.
So you got more free time. Like they can be left on their own. Like,
and your 3-year-old definitely is not leaving your side
Right.
and doesn't want you to leave.
Right.
And mommy, don't go.
Right. And even, just down to when I mentioned earlier about like the pressure and feeling guilty, because I feel like, have you heard like men and women throw out that kind of thing of like, she should be
dating,
or
you
like,
should be at home.
She should be at home with her kids, or she's out looking man when she should be with her kids. And it's like, hold on, if I wanted to go out for a drink with you, for example, then nobody would care that I left my child with my mum. No one would have anything to say.
No one would say nothing.
Because I'm out with my friend having some food, yeah? But if I left my daughter with my mum to go look man, all of a sudden she's out with man, where's her child? And it's like, you have to be comfortable with that. You have to know that you're a good parent, and if you're making the right decisions, if you're making sure like you said, your house is taken care of, then if you choose to go on a date, it doesn't matter when it is, because it doesn't have to be when your child is with their dad. You can go, like I said, you're not going to feel guilty about going out middle of the week to a work event. Your friend's got tickets to the theatre. You're going. You feel no guilt and no problem whatsoever. So don't put that guilt.
Same guilt.
Yeah, that's in your mind.
With
like,
don't
put that on yourself and be like, oh, I'm a terrible person. And the reason, don't get me wrong, there's a huge balance to it. So when I started dating most recently, I did set some boundaries. And one of the boundaries I did set was that I do have a lot of free time away from my daughter because she goes to her dad's. And I did feel to myself that is the time I can allocate to dating. Yeah. Because I know that I get it. Some mums might not get free time as regularly as me. Therefore, you have to manage your dating around that. But because I knew that I get every other weekend, it comes around like that. I did make the decision that I will date on those weekends because I didn't want to meet a new person. Who I don't owe shit, who I don't know yet, or know if you are worthy of me. Therefore, I am not going to give up time with my daughter to spend some time with you. So I made it very clear that I'm free on these weekends. And a huge red flag would be for me if that person didn't respect that. Yeah, because there's been times before when men don't really respect you. Would think that most men, if you're going to date a woman that has kids, like you said, you have to ask yourself, the man has to ask himself in the beginning, is this for me? Like, can I take this on board? Can I accept that she might not always have free time? You would assume that a man asks himself that question, but some men do not ask themselves that question. Some men are oblivious to the fact that you have kids.
Well, not only that, some men, let's say a lot of men are not really looking for a wife when they go out with their brethren. They're looking for some eye candy, maybe to get a couple of numbers or Snapchats or whatever people do these days. Or they're just looking for fun. Yeah. So the woman you meet out on a night out or on a random is not necessarily going to be, she looks like my wife, her over there. That's not necessarily their intentions. So you go on a date and they get to know you. Then they realize you're a mum. They then might choose to decide to manipulate you, to get what they want out of you, because you are disposable to them at that moment, because they don't have wife in their mindset.
Yeah, you're not really their concern.
And this is why for a woman, when you say a red flag, for a woman, if you put a certain boundary in place, i.e. I'm only dating on the weekends, I don't have my daughter, a man that really respects you as a person, as a human, or can foresee, okay, let me see if I'm going to take her seriously or not, will have the most respect for you.
Yeah.
That you have certain boundaries, that your home is in order. Like, I could not have started a relationship if me and my baby father were still beefing every weekend. What?
Yeah.
How's that going to work? How are you going to take me seriously? How are you going to think,
chatting about it on the date?
I'm completely, you know what I mean? I'm completely over him, yet he's on my line. I call him at 11 p.m. The kids are in bed. When the kids are in bed. And I'm arguing with him. Every minute he's ringing my phone. What?
But like you said, it's about a man respecting your boundaries, because
just respecting you, full stop.
No matter what your boundaries are, like you said, if a man is into you, whatever your boundary is, even if you're busy with work, even if you don't have kids, if you tell a man, I'm very busy with work, Monday to Friday I'm busy, I can't go out on that, I can go out on the weekend. If a man is asking you still to go out during the week when you told him you couldn't, or the man is asking to meet me on this weekend.
Oh, get a babysitter.
Yeah. Even though I told him I can't, right? And he's like, I just, I really want to see you. Don't fall for that line. Or, but I've got these tickets, and they're on this. If he's not respecting the boundary that you said is important, then he's not the right person for you.
And the thing is, people will always push boundaries.
Oh, of course.
Because in the getting to know phase, you are getting to know if what they said on date 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 and 7 is actually where they are. Because everyone puts their best foot forward on a date.
It's like saying,
that's why we wear makeup.
No one says I'm going to sleep with you straight away. Like,
that's why you tidy your house before someone comes over. Like, we all put our best foot forward in the beginning stages.
You wear your matching underwear on date 2.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm not going to sleep with you. But if you take these clothes off, this shit does match.
I already decided I lied.
Yeah.
No. So someone is always going to push your boundaries. That doesn't mean that's necessarily a red flag. But it just means that person is testing the waters to see if can I date you? Can I come over and sleep with you just because?
And the most important person that needs to respect your boundaries is
you.
You set the boundary. You said it. Yeah. You said it for a reason. And really, you should be setting boundaries before you're in situations so that you made these decisions with a smart head. Yeah. No man involved or no person. And you said, this is what I want. So that's what I did in my last dating stage. I was not dating anyone. I had some time. I was like, I'm not dating anyone because I took some accountability. And I was like, what I was doing, it weren't working. It weren't working. I was attracting rubbish. Yeah, I was attracting trash. I took some accountability. I was like, it's me.
You're the common denominator.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing, Sherelle? You're putting out the wrong signal. So I took some time, blah, blah. So when I did start dating again, made this decision when there was nobody in mind and said, this is what I want to do. This is what I think will work for me. Yeah. Stop being so readily available. Yeah. Stop being so open-minded. And what I'm saying, just have
accepting rubbish.
Yeah, just have some boundaries in place. So so whoever comes along, you have to get with my boundaries. I already put them in place. Yeah. And if you don't get with the boundaries, you're not for me. And if you can get with the boundaries, then maybe you're the right person.
It's almost like, when you see that pair of shoes that you really want, it might not be shoes for you. It's shoes for me. you see that pair of shoes and you know you can't afford them. You just know you can't. So you know you have to save. Like you might have to put some money down, or you might have to, whatever. You will go to all the lengths to make sure you get them shoes because you know that that's what you want. And it's the same thing with relationships. If you see a man and the same thing goes, he's got children and you can't see him on certain days, do you really want him or not?
I think that you brought up that point. It's so funny, yeah, because I think some women do find it hard when a man says he's not available because of his kids. Like, I'll be honest, I personally haven't been in that situation, I'll be honest, because I have dated men before who are actually like the sole kind of carer of their kids. So I've been fully understanding, and I get it, I appreciate it, like I see what's happening. But I think for some women, when the man is not the sole carer, I feel like some women, I've known some friends and stuff who are like, he said he's busy with his kids. or they're like, oh, he always says he can't do something because of his kids. He's always saying his kids. I swear to you, I've met.
No way.
I swear. And I don't know if it comes from a place of they don't believe them, maybe. Like, maybe they think it's an excuse because maybe they think, because we...
Or maybe the men is trash narrative.
The thing is
there.
because we all know too well that there are plenty men who...
don't mind their kids.
Their kids are not stopping them from doing
nothing.
Shit, okay?
Yeah.
They're not stopping them, yeah? And even if they have their kids, their mum is permanent babysitter, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know if it comes from a place of the women don't believe the men, but I've honestly known some people who've been like
that they are just entitled and believe that the man should just be readily available for them.
I think obviously you're accepted when it's a woman, like, because they're female friends, they'll be like, he has to understand you've got kids. Like, you've got kids, he has to understand that. But then when it's the men, they're just like,
no, it's true.
Honestly, and as men like to say, like, we can't have these double standards. Like, if a man's, it doesn't matter. Like, if a man only has his kids on the weekend and he said he can't see you this weekend because of his kids,
like, relax and go paint your nails, read a book,
find that attractive.
Yeah, exactly. Be busy.
Be like that. Yes, be busy. That has attracted me even more. Yeah. That he's not gonna give up his kids or send the kids to his mum and says he has to see me on another day. Like, we can't have...
I find it the most, like, ick thing when I just know that whenever a man has his kids, they go to the mum. That makes me shudder. And that brings me to another point, because I see in comments under people's videos, our videos, that all the time, oh, I will only date a man that's, like, single mums that say, I will only date a man that's got kids because he will understand. Pause, friend. Yeah? Bring it in. Zoom in a little piece. Let me speak to you, babes. Not all men, okay, understand the repetitive, mundane, routine, daily, 24/7-ness of parenting. Okay? Please, don't get bamboozled. Oh, yes, I'm a dad. I get it. The very understanding stuff.
If he was so ready-made,
he wouldn't be available.
I'm about to say, him and his baby mum would be together. Like, he wasn't obviously good. However, I didn't
say that.
He could have changed.
He would be available.
He could have changed, but no, I totally get you, because
what I'm saying is, don't fall into a false sense of security because of what your parenthood looks like. That must be what theirs is like. No, because that man might only see his child once a month, or once every 3 years, or twice a year, or you don't know.
Or so you also only know the story that he told you, so you only know what the dad that he said he was. Because I'm sure if you could have a private sit down with the mum, you get a different story. So, but that is true. A lot of women, single mums, do say that they want to date men that already have children, because
I've said it myself. I've said it myself, thinking
so have I.
He will know, even if he doesn't know fully, he will get a little bit of it.
I said it as well. I said my ideal partner would have one child. Literally, I was like, I named the amount of children as well. I even said preferably around the same age as my own child.
Yeah, because so that they could easy.
Just, slot in, play together, blended family. Like you said, though, that he would already know what is expected of me as a parent and what's expected of him. And
he might just not really like the baby mum. and therefore he don't really like the kids either. Because that happens.
And or when I think about it now, I remember out of this mouth, ignorantly, naively.
Are you taking accountability? Headline, she's taking accountability. Just so you know, guys, that we take accountability.
I'm sure it was to you that I said that I didn't want to date a man that had no children. I said that
you did.
I said that I didn't want to teach from scratch.
You did. I think that was when we was with G.
Do you remember? I went on about how I don't want him to have no idea what it's like to be a parent, and I've got to tell him everything. And he's not comfortable with kids.
And then if we have another kid, he's going to be learning everything, and everything's going to be new.
Oh my God! I went off on one, guys.
I remember.
This accountable lady has found herself a man who has no children. And I actually think it's actually a godsend because, and I was telling this to Tams on just separately, me and her, that it's actually very easy, basically, that he makes so many allowances for me
because he's got the time to,
and my child. So he works everything around me. Like, he literally says, "When are you free? What days can you do?" There's no, what days can you do and what days can I do? Like, he does make so many allowances. And I mean, somebody who doesn't have kids, they're not a retard around kids. Like, they are either uncles or they have godchildren. Like, they're around kids. So I'm not teaching him like from scratch per se. Plus,
so you've eaten your words a little bit.
Plus, well, I also slightly relished the idea of being his first and only baby mum. I'll be honest with you, I've not told him that. But if you think about
I'm telling him.
Think about it. I mean, who wants to be baby mum number 2 or 3 or like? So to actually be his first and hopefully like that's actually kind of
attractive.
I'm feeling it. So yeah, I take all that back, and I now advocate for women to date men who don't have any children.
This is why you don't take advice from people on podcasts, because they chat shit. Not me though. I make sense.
Oh, gosh.
That's so funny.
I know. So okay. You're making me laugh.
All right. Let me ask you a question, because you have just become in a new relationship. Yeah. What kind of things did you look for in the person that? Okay, how did you navigate once you decided, I like him, he likes you? How did you start navigating how you made it a bit more serious? Like, what things were you looking for from him?
Okay. What I would say is, what I did for me personally was, I didn't take my daughter into that much consideration in the beginning when it came to him. Right. And the reason why I say that, before anyone's like, what? Like, outrage. Because I was dating for me. And I was looking for someone who respects me. Yeah. And who has my best interests at heart and treats me nicely. And it just so happened that if he's the right person and actually cares about you, he will make it about your child. Like, he will do that on his own. But I made sure in the beginning, it was like, I'm not trying to, because that's another thing I think women do. Is he a good dad? Is he good with kids?
Bridget, do you even like him?
Right, we're not there. Yeah. We're not there. So in the beginning, I made it we're just two people dating. Yes, I told him I had a child from the beginning. Yeah. And at times I'm going to talk about her. If I'm talking about myself, she comes up. But I just made it so in the beginning, it was just two dating. I could have almost been someone who's not got a child. I was just two dating people. And from that, he literally just showed me in all types of ways that he was a kind person and that he respected me and that we had things in common and we talked about his value. So yeah, I just think for some parents, I think you're looking for these questions around your child, nothing to do with that at first. It was just me and him. And then when I realized he is a nice person and he treats me nicely, he's kind to me. That's what I'm saying. He was doing kind things for me. Yeah. That's when I thought, that kind of person around my child would be a good role model. Would be a good role model. Would be a good person. Blah blah blah. And I did also say to him as well that I want us to spend a lot of time together, just me and him, like just us.
To establish your relationship.
Yes, just us. Yeah. We are, you know, and so when it got to a point where I did think, okay, it's quite serious now, you know, we both explained that we've got feelings for each other and we want to take this further, blah, blah. And now I decided, okay, it's time for him to meet my daughter. Even that, I wanted to do it in very small bits. Yeah. Because I wanted it to be, again, not that this relationship has gone from me and him, fun, 2 people, to now, oh, we're just a 3. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now we're just, you know, all the dates are now child incorporated. You know, now that he has started to come to my house, now every time you come, like, we're just, I still just made it valid. Sometimes he used to say to me, and I said, like, no, this is our time still. This is still our adult fun time. Are we enjoying each other? So I did it very slowly. Like, yeah, you've met her. And yeah, you can come around when she's here. Yeah. And sometimes I do plan activities for the three of us. But still plenty time. I'm still getting my free every other weekend. So we're still having that time. So so I definitely don't think you need to jump from 2 to now permanently
a fixture, a family fixture.
Yeah, because it's not his child. So it still needs to just be us sometimes. So just take it slowly.
I feel like I think it's important to, again, like I said, establish your relationship, just the 2 of you. Yeah. And I can liken that to any family situation, a man and woman that have got children, whatever. You still need to date. Yeah. You still need to, because like in the beginning of a relationship, you're getting to know each other. But after 5 years of a relationship, guess what? I'm not the same person. So you're continually getting to know each other. So that's a good kind of way, that's quite positive of a way of managing the beginning stages.
You just keep seeing 2 different sides. Like, sometimes we get mine and him side. So can we have fun, just us 2? Yeah. Is it interesting? Do we do that? And then we get the other side. So when we are together, now I'm watching how does he deal with that? Blah, blah, blah. The same thing he tells me when he brings me around
family,
his friends and that. He said one time he brought me somewhere, and then afterwards he was like, "Yeah, I was watching to see how you was interacting with my people," and I was like, "That's it. I didn't even realize you was observing me." But yeah, you have to.
But it's the same. Like if you brought someone to meet your mum, it's exactly the same dynamic. It just is that a child is going to be a lot more heavily. Is that the right word? More heavily. Heavily. That's not even a word.
Heavily.
More
heavily. Heavily. Not heavenly. Heavily.
Yeah.
Heavily.
Anyway.
Impacted. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And also I think children need time. So again, for my daughter, when I did bring him around, I didn't want her to think now you will always be seeing him. Right. No, you met him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You met him, and you met him briefly. And then you met him for this. And now, yes, he does come round and he does stay over when she's there. But that doesn't mean he's going to always be there. Like, sometimes she's asking for him and I'm like, he's not here. Like, because I just think there's no need to go from 0 to 100. There are plenty numbers in between. So, and you can go forward and go back.
Yeah.
You know.
And it gives you room to allow both. Yeah, to go forward and back and make mistakes or try new things and try new ways of doing things.
This is getting too much, or is this overwhelming for her, or is this overwhelming for him?
It also opens up very important and sometimes difficult, honest conversations. Yeah, like actually, I don't know if I agree with the way that you do that. Yeah, or babes, why don't you try something like that with Alexis? It might work a little bit better. You might be shouting at her less.
Do you know what he said to me the other day? He thought I said something about going out or whatever, and he thought I wanted him to look after Alexis. And he, because he's coming on the Saturday or something, and then I was like, I'm going to work. And then he was like, he was literally like, where would Alexis be? Like, he was like, I don't know if I'm ready for, and I went,
calm down.
My mum will be babysitting. But again, these are things that you have to work towards. Like you have to work to, and like I said, you can't assume just because you've crossed the line of now that people have met that you're suddenly doing all sorts of different things. I feel like
there are like a lot of people who, you know, naturally their choice, the way they're raised, whatever, jump into relationships and go shoom,
they do
and start speeding off.
The man comes in your house and he never leaves. And you know the kids will be saying literally like he's always there, he's never left, there's never no mummy time, there's, and that is gonna, for me, I just think you're going to cause some problems. Like, it's going to also, even if your kids are okay with it and don't mind and love this new person, even if they love this, even if there's no kickback, and your kids seem perfectly happy with it, if anything doesn't work out, then what?
Yeah, because when I started mine, like, I did mine very socially, like in a group setting. There were other children there, there were other adults there. It was, we're all just out as a group, which I do regularly with my friends, yeah? So that was the first meet. And then the second one was we went out to dinner. Like, all of us went out to dinner. He didn't, like, come into the house for a while. And like you said, we did things alone, and then we did things with the kids, and then we did group things, and it would be like a christening. We were all going to so it was like slowly by stages, and everything was great. And then when a couple of years have gone by and it's not done in stages anymore, it's now we're all a collective, and it's regular, and it's family time, date time, blah blah blah. It's still, we were the Three Musketeers before this man arrived. So they're still going to be, oh, mum, like, can we just do something alone?
Yeah.
They're still going to be that.
And it makes you feel like they don't like the person, but
and it's not that. It's just human nature.
It's like one of your kids saying, Mum, can I just spend time with you? Why has my brother got to be there?
Yeah.
Don't mean you don't like your brother.
Yeah.
Everyone wants
one-on-one time.
One-on-one time at some point. Like,
and as a single mother, you're already splitting yourself. Even if it's just you and your one child, you've got to split yourself a million times to be the work person, the person at the study, the person in the house, the teacher, the driver, the chauffeur, the counselor. You're splitting yourself all the time. So then when you've got another person, you're splitting yourself again. But you have to. Yeah. You have to adapt.
Don't feel guilty about it.
Just just got to do what you got to do.
As long as you know that you are making smart decisions and, sharing your time out equally, prioritizing what you need to prioritize, then don't feel guilty if you use that spare time to go on a date or to spend time with somebody that you've met, that you like, etc. Like, you know that you spent time last week with your kid. You know that you've got something else planned. Like, don't let anyone else tell you that you should be using all your free time on your child.
Yeah. What would you say you've learned about yourself since becoming a couple? Because you're a couple now.
What have I learned about myself?
Yeah. What have you learned about yourself? What have you not changed? Because I can see you change.
What, since being in a couple?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. Tell me.
Well, what I have noticed is that you are more thoughtful.
Am I?
Maybe I'm just seeing another side of you because we would normally spend our time either just us chatting at mine or we're going out somewhere or I'm coming to yours or whatever. Now, obviously, your time is divided a little bit more. But in the thoughtfulness, I would say you're more reflective about yourself and more accountable about yourself. That's what I would say. And it's not because of your relationship per se, but I would say that it's been more noticeable whilst you've been.
Well, I just find that I'm just not so defensive. I would say that's what I've learned about myself. I'm just more relaxed. I'm just not so, some people like to use that word like in my masculine and stuff like that. I'm just not so in survival mode, so angry, so gotta get everything, gotta sort everything. Even though we've only been together for 6 months, I just already have someone who I can unload. Of course, I don't expect him to solve my problems, but he is definitely someone I could just tell my problem to. So I just feel a bit more relaxed to have a constant person there. Okay, I think we're running out of time. That was therapeutic.
That was basically,
as always.
Tamsin, don't ask me no more questions.
But it's also, do you know what? I'm just going to wrap it up by saying it is...
You're actually cutting me off.
Sorry. It is also quite confusing. Like, I feel like our conversation, it has been a bit up and down, back and forth, because I do feel that navigating the dating world as a single parent, I do feel like there's a lot to bear in mind and a lot of feelings and a lot of things you're trying to get right. I do.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm coming from the point of I have dated for about 5 years. Yeah. And now just met someone in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a long time.
We ain't met 6 months ago.
Met a year ago. We met a year ago. So I do feel like for everyone else out there, if you are still dating or new to it, like, I'll be honest, it's not easy. It's not easy, and it's a
lot to navigate, because you can't just think about yourself. You have to consider children. You have to consider, are they going to be impacted positively, negatively by this other person when are thinking about
you as well.
Yeah, and then also getting rid of negative narratives that you've clung on to whilst being in survival mode, or dealing with a breakup, or dealing with, oh shit, I'm a single mom, oh my god.
And unfortunately, you don't meet your prince first time, so it is going to be a bit of a cycle that you have to keep going through. So there'll be ups and downs, and there'll be knockbacks, and there'll be positive experiences and then bad experiences and things like that. So it's a tricky one.
And that's why the conversation's kind of gone,
it has.
Not really what we planned, but hey ho, good convo regardless.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out, people.
See you next time.